Right now, as you read this, you're surrounded by organisms actively trying to poison you. That basil plant on your windowsill, chemical warfare factory. The tomatoes in your fridge, packed with toxins. The lettuce in your salad? It spent its entire existence manufacturing compounds specifically designed to make things that eat it regret that decision. Plants can't run, can't hide, can't fight back with teeth or claws. So, over hundreds of millions of years, they've turned themselves into pharmaceutical laboratories, churning out thousands of different chemicals meant to kill, paralyze, confuse, or just really upset anything that takes a bite. And somehow, despite being in the middle of this invisible war, you're still alive. In fact, you're eating plants for breakfast. So what's going on? Plants have a fundamental problem. They're made of food. Sugars, proteins, fats, vitamins, all the good stuff animals need to survive, just sitting there in convenient leaf-shaped packages, unable to move away. Imagine being a delicious cake in a world full of hungry people. Except you're glued to the floor, and the hungry people include everything from microscopic bacteria to elephant-sized herbivores. This is the plant existence. Every single day, something wants to eat you. Insects lay eggs on your leaves so their larvae can devour you from the inside. Fungi send microscopic threads into your tissues to digest you alive. Mammals tear off entire branches with their teeth. Even other plants sometimes strangle you for your resources. And you can't do anything except stand there and photosynthesize. So plants did something clever. They started making poison. Not just one poison, but thousands of different chemical weapons, each targeting different biological systems in different ways. Some shut down nerve signals. Others damage cell membranes. Some cause hallucinations or seizures. Others simply taste so horrifically bitter that nothing wants a second bite. This is chemical warfare on a scale that makes human military arsenals look adorable. Let's zoom into a single plant cell to see how this works. Inside the cell walls, alongside all the machinery for photosynthesis and growth, are specialized structures called vacuoles and plastids that function as chemical weapons factories. They take the same basic building blocks the plant uses to make sugars and proteins, and twist them into molecules that don't exist anywhere else in nature. Alkaloids that jam up nerve receptors. Tannins that bind to proteins and make them indigestible. Cyanogenic glycosides that release actual cyanide when the plant tissue is damaged. Oxalates that form microscopic needle-sharp crystals that stab the mouth and throat of anything chewing the leaves. The complexity is staggering. A single tobacco plant makes over 4,000 different chemicals, many of which serve no purpose except defense. Nicotine, the chemical that makes tobacco addictive to humans, evolved to paralyze the nervous systems of insects. It works so well that a single drop of pure nicotine can kill an adult human. The plant doesn't care about you enjoying a cigarette. It wants the caterpillars dead, and nicotine is just one weapon in one plant. Cassava makes cyanide. Potatoes make solanine. Rhubarb makes oxalic acid at concentrations that can shut down your kidneys. The plant world is an arms manufacturer, and every species has its own product line. So why aren't you dead? You eat plants all the time. You're probably eating them multiple times a day. If plants are so good at making poison, why isn't every salad lethal? The answer is dose. Most plant toxins don't kill you instantly, because plants don't actually want you dead. They want you to stop eating them and go away. A dead herbivore doesn't learn. It just lies there, possibly crushing your leaves. But a herbivore that gets sick, that associates your taste with nausea or pain, that animal goes and eats something else next time. So plants calibrate their defenses. They make enough poison to be unpleasant to deter casual browsers, but not so much that everything dies instantly. The balance is delicate and depends on how much of the plant you eat. A few tomato leaves won't kill you, but eat enough and the solanine will make you very sick. A small amount of cassava is fine if it's properly prepared, But raw cassava in quantity delivers a lethal dose of cyanide. And humans have gotten incredibly good at the game. We've developed detoxification systems in our livers that can break down hundreds of different plant toxins. We've learned to cook foods to neutralize some poisons. We've domesticated plants, selectively breeding them over thousands of years to be less toxic. Wild almonds contain enough cyanide to kill you. Domestic almonds are safe because we've spent 4,000 years breeding out the poison. You're not surviving despite the plant war. You're surviving because both sides have reached an evolutionary equilibrium, where you can eat plants without dying and plants can reproduce despite being eaten. But sometimes plants stop playing nice. When a plant is under serious attack, when herbivores are eating too much too fast, plants can ramp up their defenses to extreme levels. They sense damage to their tissues and trigger genetic programs that flood their cells with toxins. Within hours, the same leaves that were merely unpleasant can become genuinely dangerous. Some plants go further and call for help. When a caterpillar chews an acacia leaf, the tree releases volatile chemicals into the air that act as distress signals. Parasitic wasps smell these signals, fly to the tree, and lay eggs inside the caterpillar. The wasp larvae eat the caterpillar from the inside out. The plant has literally summoned assassins. Other plants communicate with each other. When sagebrush is damaged by herbivores, nearby sagebrush plants that aren't being eaten detect the chemical alarm and begin producing higher levels of defensive compounds in their own leaves. They're preparing for battle based on their neighbors' experience. This is distributed intelligence. A kind of slow-motion immune system spread across an entire ecosystem. And sometimes plants just go scorched earth. When faced with extinction-level browsing pressure, some species produce such high concentrations of toxins that they make themselves completely inedible, even if it costs them energy they need for growth. Better to be alive and poisonous than nutritious and dead. This has been going on for over 350 million years. And both sides keep getting better at it. Herbivores evolve new detoxification enzymes. Plants evolve new toxins those enzymes can't break down. Herbivores evolve behaviors to avoid the toxins, like stripping bark instead of eating leaves, or eating dozens of different plants in small amounts, so no single toxin builds up to dangerous levels. Plants evolve to concentrate their best toxins in young leaves and growing tips, the parts they can least afford to lose. Some insects have turned the tables completely. Monarch butterfly caterpillars eat milkweed, which is loaded with cardiac glycosides that disrupt heart function in most animals. But monarchs have evolved modified sodium pumps in their cells that aren't affected by the toxins, so they can eat milkweed safely, and then they store the toxins in their own bodies. Any bird that eats a monarch gets violently sick, learns to avoid the distinctive orange and black pattern, and the butterfly has weaponized the plant's defense for its own protection. This is the fundamental reality of life on Earth. Nothing gets eaten without a fight. Every calorie comes with a price, and the war between plants and everything that eats them has shaped the chemistry of the entire planet. You are a participant in this war, whether you know it or not. Every time you eat vegetables, you're consuming low doses of dozens of different plant toxins. Your body is constantly working to neutralize them. That's part of what your liver does all day, breaking down plant chemicals that would otherwise accumulate and cause problems. Some of these toxins might actually be good for you in small amounts. The bitter compounds in broccoli and kale that make them taste like punishment, those are glucosinolates, mildly toxic chemicals that trigger your cells to activate their own defense and repair systems. The stress of dealing with small amounts of plant toxins might make your cells more resilient. This is called hormesis. The idea that low doses of harmful things can be beneficial. It's why superfood is mostly marketing, but also not completely wrong. Coffee makes caffeine to poison insects. You drink it to wake up. Chocolate makes theobromine to deter mammals. You eat it for pleasure. Hot peppers make capsaicin to stop mammals from eating them. So only birds, which can't taste capsaicin and spread seeds farther, will eat the fruit. You breed peppers to make even more capsaicin and competitively eat them for entertainment. Humans have taken plant chemical warfare and turned it into cuisine, medicine, recreation, and ritual. We are possibly the only species that deliberately seeks out plant toxins for fun. So, you're not dying from your vegetables, because evolution has created a balance. Plants make enough poison to deter most herbivores most of the time, without making so much poison that they spend all their energy on defense instead of growth. Your body has evolved to handle the toxins in foods your ancestors ate regularly, while avoiding the truly dangerous ones through taste, smell, and cultural knowledge passed down over generations. The coffee is safe, the nightshade is not, and we've domesticated the most useful plants, breeding them for thousands of years to be less toxic and more nutritious, creating varieties that never could have survived in the wild, but flourish under human protection. This is cooperation built on mutual benefit. You get food, the plant gets cultivated, protected, and spread across the entire planet. Wheat, rice, corn, potatoes, tomatoes. None of these look like their wild ancestors anymore. We've changed them, they've changed us. Our ability to digest starches, to tolerate lactose, to process alcohol. All evolved in response to the foods we chose to domesticate. The war between plants and animals hasn't ended, but in a few specific cases, a truce has been negotiated, and both sides have become dependent on it. Every meal you eat is a reminder that you're alive, because your ancestors learned which plants were trying to kill them and which ones were just playing defense. You're here because someone, tens of thousands of years ago, figured out that if you soak cassava, cook beans, and avoid the pretty berries that make your stomach explode, you can extract enough calories to survive. The plants are still making poison. You're still eating them anyway. And somehow, despite the invisible chemical warfare happening on every farm and in every forest, you're doing just fine.